everything that we have achieved, all our fans around the world who are lifers. Do you know what I mean? Like with a band like us, we've built a fan base over a long time, like of putting out solid albums, of doing amazing tours, of making sure that every time we hit that stage, we blow people's heads off. We've ended up with like such a diehard and loyal fan base all over the world. You know, it's an amazing feeling because we feel like these are people who are going to be with us to the end. Do you know what I mean?
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com, and I'm psyched to be joined by Jason Evans of Ingested from the UK. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, mate. I'm super excited for everything that we've got in the pipeline for this year, for the new album, headline tours, hitting here, there, and everywhere, all over the world. We've got music videos coming out. I've like for the past 2 weeks, like the reason why I've got the background of on my video as a blur is because this is like my well, it's like my home studio slash man cave that I'm talking to you from at the moment. But for the past 2 weeks, I've been working on all the props and the special effects and everything for our next music video that we'll be shooting. Well, we're currently in the process of shooting it at the moment. So everything around me in this room is just covered in like stuff that I've been building for this music video. So that's why I've got everything blurred because I'm trying to keep that secret at the moment. So yeah, I've been busy. I've been busy, but it's a great busy, as always, because if you know anything about Ingested, you know that we never stop. Like we literally never stop. So
That
yeah,
that
I'm
that's
buzzing.
gonna that's gonna be the topic here today because I'm super impressed with the fact that you never stop. I assume that's a cup of tea or coffee,
It
or
is a
some
it is
caffeinated drink.
it is a big cup of tea.
I like the mug is very fine. Also, nice size mug there. We're obviously talking about the album "The Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams" coming out on Metal Blade. You guys are very prolific, not just with music but everything you do. I know people are sick of hearing about the plague times in the world. It's kind of interesting. Like 100 years ago, there was a very similar thing across Western Europe and America also, and people wore masks for years
Yeah.
and had to deal with shit and not die and figure out how to persevere and go on. And I know that, during these times, some people were not able to make art or make their music or create anything because they were just scared or paralyzed or worried about their family members or whatever. And that's all fine and good. But it seems like some folks, introverts, and a lot of metal bands and us over here at Ghost Cult, we all double and triple down.
Yeah.
And I'm not being smug about it like it was a terrible time for
Yeah, of
everybody.
course.
But I feel like you guys stepped it up even more. Almost 20 years as a band, and you just work harder than ever. So I tip my hat to you because the output has been super impressive. All killer releases, full length albums, singles, touring, honing your craft. I know you are on stream on Twitch and YouTube. Personally, aside from the band, I love the Ingested Watches series, which is really fun because I think it lets the fans in. The bands like, oh, how do we feel about stuff we used to do? How do we feel
Yeah.
about our past work in retrospect? And it lets them enjoy it in a whole new light. So I really respect how hard you guys work at your craft.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I think it's our work ethic is I think it stems from our background, our personal backgrounds. Like the three of us, we're all from working class backgrounds. Like we're all from like council estate. Two of us are from Manchester. Lyn's from Wales, but he's from like the valleys in Wales, which is like mid Wales in the middle of nowhere. I grew up on a council estate in South Manchester, like with fuck all, like none of like I had no money. Like I grew up like being brought up to think that if you want something, go out and work for it, go out and earn it, because the way that I was told was people like us don't get anything given to them. You don't get any help. You have to go out and you have to go and earn it, and you have to go and work for it, and you have to go and get what you want and do the work to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I think that's such an ingrained part of us as people and us as a band. Because again, like we're a band who's never been given nothing. We've never been given any help. We've never been given a push or any shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Like everything we've done it off our own backs. We've done it in spite of people telling us that we weren't good enough, telling us that we weren't shit. And if you say something like that to us, that's only gonna make us double down, and then we're gonna do it out of spite to prove you wrong. But I think it's really, really important, like, because like I said, everything we've done, we've worked for it. We've worked our bollocks off for like nearly 2 decades. And we've built, like, it's been a slow build. Like, we've built brick by brick, we've climbed step by step each year. And every time we've achieved a milestone in the band that we've wanted to achieve, we were like, we see it as, all right, well, we've done this. Now the real hard work starts. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, even when we achieve something we want to achieve, we're then like, right, okay, we got to work twice as hard now, like, to get to the next bit. And it's good because it makes us appreciate everything that we've got. I mean, we haven't got loads by any means. Like, do you know what I mean? But everything that we have achieved, all our fans around the world who are lifers, do you know what I mean? Like, with a band like us, we've built a fan base over a long time, like, of putting out solid albums, of doing amazing tours, of making sure that every time we hit that stage, we blow people's heads off. We've ended up with like such a diehard and loyal fan base all over the world. You know, it's an amazing feeling because we feel like these are people who are going to be with us to the end. Do you know what I mean?
We have a saying here of our loyal fans are our everydayers, our real ones, you know. And I really do appreciate that backstory. Thank you for sharing. Kind of feels a little familiar. It's the same with us.
Yeah.
We're all self-made here. No rich kids here, and that's fine. And that's fine too. Everybody starts
Yeah, that's
somewhere.
fine too. Exactly.
And
Do you know what I
it
mean?
kind of also reminds me a lot. I don't know if you're a big Judas Priest fan, but it sounds a lot like Halford's book, his first memoir. He's got two books out. His first one really detailed how like impoverished and poor his childhood was. Same backstory. Like nothing came
Yeah.
from nothing to the top of the world in metal, all of music, and now all kinds of things. And nothing was given, everything was earned. And
That's it.
no, even when they were successful, he never stopped. They have their. I'm so excited for their new record. But yeah, and then by the way, his second book, for people out there who have their own bands and music careers, Biblical, which was Halford's book from like a year and a half ago, is all about his music industry expertise, like his opinion about the music business and how to make it or not make it, and mistakes he sees. So I highly recommend anybody try to be a successful band, experienced like yours, inexperienced like everyone else, get out there and read that book because I think it's got a lot to share. I was impressed as a person that's doing music journalism for a long time. I played in bands for many years, marginally successful, and yeah, I highly recommend it. But yeah, man, that working class spirit is what's going to keep you never too satisfied. It's good to be satisfied. This record's a banger. You guys have, like you said, major tours, a lot festivals, a lot of stuff to be proud of. And this record is something to be proud of. Metal Blade is something to be proud of. Metal Blade is like a very elite club of a history that started with Slayer and Metal Massacre compilations, and all the way up to some of the greats in the world: Cannibal Corpse, Amon Amarth, Behemoth, etc. Can't go wrong there. And they, obviously they have their belief in the band, so it's got to be gratifying. And what a banger album. Again, just another banger release. And again, you guys could have sat on your laurels, and it just seems like, album tour, album tour, album tour every couple of years. And that's how you do it, right? That's how you build a legacy.
Yeah, that is how we do it. We basically we write so much. We're always like 1 or 2 albums ahead because what we don't want is, well, one we just write a lot. Sean writes an insane amount of music. He's just always writing, like, all the time. He's either writing riffs or he's writing whole songs, or he's like, I'm talking, we've got tons and tons of material that we can draw from when we're crafting an album and stuff like that. We can take pieces from like older songs that he's wrote that we've never used, and it's just awesome to have because one, we write so much because we love this. Like, we love doing this. Like, the only reason we're in a band is so we can make music that we want to hear all the time and play it around the world. Like, so we've always got material. It's like when we released our last album, which was our debut album on Metal Blade Records, Ashes Lie Still. We released that in November 2022. that got released. And then 4 weeks after that, in December 2022, we were in the studio recording The Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams. So we've been sitting on this album a year and 2 months, year and 3 months. Like, but it's like we'd rather have an album ready to go and then have a year while we're touring the last album to be behind the scenes preparing everything for the release of the next album. So we're never pushed up hard against a deadline. It's like everything always gets done within time. We're always well ahead of the game. So we've always got music videos ready to go. We've always got the album package, like all the album artwork, everything is all ready to go. Like all the merch is designed, it's all ready to go. Like well before like the album's even announced. I think that works so well because we tour so much. It's a really good schedule to have because touring for a band at our level, for a band where we are at the moment in our career, touring is where we make money. That's what pays our bills. That's what puts clothes on our kids' back and food in our families' bellies. Do you know what I mean? And pays the rent. Like that touring is what it is. So we have to be touring all the time at the level that we're at. So if we had to take time out of touring to record an album and write an album and do it that way, we're basically not making money for that period of time that we'd be taking out to write and record an album. So what we do is we just do it constantly. It's constantly done. Like, so it's constantly being written. We're all recording demo tracks and stuff when we're at our own houses and stuff. And then once it's ready, we just go into the studio and record it, and then it's done. And then it gets sent off for mixing and mastering, and jobs are good. And then we can carry on being on tour while we're organizing everything for the release and the announcement of the album in the meantime. But it's like what you said. You used the word legacy, and that's our main goal. That's why we're doing this. That is we want a legacy. We've never been a band because like going back to what we were talking about before, like our background. Like, do you know what I mean? We're all working class, so it's like we've never been about money. Do you know what I mean? Because none of us have ever really had any. So this isn't about being famous or being rich or being the biggest or any of that shit. Like all I want is two things. I want to be able to pay my bills, make sure my wife and kids have got clothes, food, and the bills are paid, and they don't have to you're never worrying about when the next paycheck's coming in. When this band is all said and done, when Ingested is over, I want people to look back and say, fucking hell, they were one of the best death metal bands ever. Their albums were insane. Their live shows were completely fucking nuts. Every time they hit the stage, they ripped everyone's fucking heads off. And fuck me, they were one of the best of their era, easily. That's what I want. That's it. That's the goal. Legacy.
I dig it. I dig it. I love the discipline. That's fantastic. Again, a lot of good lessons there for everybody else. Just I know it's daunting, right? There's a grind in anything you want success at. You have to grind it out. Obviously, you don't want to sacrifice your health and well-being. I know all too well about that. But at the same time, there's definitely it takes a certain discipline. A favorite topic of mine the last few years, in addition to these interviews, we have a podcast series, and one of them is a monthly chat with my senior editor who is in the UK. We started in Europe as a web zine in Europe, in Western Europe. We have quite a staff in the UK and Europe. And my senior editor, Steve Tovey, who's runs the reviews team, is also quite the metal musician himself. We always talk about the sort of the rise of the UK, especially metal scene. It's been pretty phenomenal. Your band predates the latest wave, but it's been very interesting to me to see this rise of band the last, we'll say 5 years specifically, but you guys were obviously part of another wave earlier, and it's astounding the level of quality and ferocity of some of these bands. So I wanted to ask your opinion about that, and is there something is it in the water? Is it the politics? Is it just the well of talent out there? What's in the water over there? How's it going? How's it happening?
I don't know. I think it's like with it being such a small country, but with such a massive population. If you know what I mean. Like, I mean, if you look at the UK on a map, It's tiny. It's like one of the smallest countries. Like, but it's just a massive hub of civilization. Like, there's just so many people here. There's so many scenes, and there's so many like big cities in such a small place. And I think with that, it's like with the big population, you get a lot of bands, but with the smallness of like how like the size of like the country, how small it is, it means that out of all of these bands, the really good ones get noticed really fast. Like they stand out because it's not like America where it's just this vast, huge land. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a small like place. So it's like if you're good and you work your bollocks off, you'll get there. You'll get there quicker. You'll get noticed. And I think the thing with the UK is fucking grim. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go to the cities, everything's grey. You look at the sky, it's raining all the time. It's miserable. Like the politics in the UK is shit. The police in the UK is shit. Like it's fucking harder and harder to get like a decent wage in the UK as well. Like so people are getting poorer and poorer and not being able to afford shit, which I'm sure like shit like that's going on all over the world. But I mean like I can only talk about what I know. So I think like with the fact that how shit and grim it is, shit like that works well for metal. Do you know what I mean? I find that the best metal bands are the ones that are pissed off the most. Do you know what I mean? The ones that are angry and have got something to fucking say and something to be angry about. They're the ones that kick ass the most. And I think that's like such a massive thing. And obviously you've got the insane history of heavy metal music in the UK as well. Like if you want to take it all the way back to like Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, like stuff like that, it like pretty much started over it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like those were early bands like doing that stuff. And with that like wealth of history, I don't know. I think it's just something that's ingrained over here. I think like I said, it goes back to like how shit it is over here. Because the shitter it is, the better the metal. That's the way that I see it. It's the same in like things like I'm a big boxing fan and a big MMA fan. And it's like some of the hardest motherfuckers, like in boxing and MMA, come from shitholes. Like wherever they're from, like whatever country they're from, all over the world, the hardest motherfuckers are always the ones that come from the biggest shitholes because life's hard. Like life's hard, and when you've got a point to prove, and when you've got a fucking bee in your bonnet about something, like, do you know what I mean? It's like it's sink or swim, innit? Do you know what I mean? You're forced to. Well, what are you gonna do about it? You're just gonna roll over and take it, or are you gonna fucking stand up and fight? And I think that's the way I look at it anyway with the UK and the metal scene. I think that's what it is. I think there's a lot of rage in the UK, a lot of anger.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And hard times makes hard people
Yeah,
also, and maybe hopefully helps you with harder times to come. And I feel like that is a good and a little entryway into the album a little bit. I think the last record was a little more let's say dynamic and expressive, and this record's like an alarm clock that will not shut off. It's a
yeah.
straight banger after banger. It's very unrelenting from the first note, which I really liked actually. Like a lot of records are like, we made this a journey, and sometimes you just need a punch in the face, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, what is it? Is it in Seven? It's in Seven, isn't it? Where Kevin Spacey's character, the killer, I'm sure he turns around and he says something like, nowadays you can't just tap someone on the shoulder. You have to hit him around the head with a sledgehammer if you want their attention. Like, and that's exactly what this album is. Because, like you said, the last album, it was dark, it was atmospheric, it was very morose. Like there was a lot of emotion in that album because of the shit that we'd been through on individual personal levels and as a band at that time. So for us, that was getting that out and getting that out of our system and getting it off our chest. Whereas this is like, all right, we've crawled through the shit and the glass, and now we've come out the other end of it stronger and better than we've ever been. So now we're gonna smash you in the head with a sledgehammer. And that's what this album is. Like this is us going, okay, you want ingested? Here's some fucking ingested. And it's brutal. It's brutal. It's these catchy bits in it. These just heaviness, these slams, blasts, riffs galore. I've been doing some mad, weird fucking vocals that I've been messing around with on that album as well that I've not really used before. And again, there's even like bits in there that we've like never used musically before. Like the last track on the album, A Path Once Lost, is fucking awesome. It's unlike a song that we've ever done before, but it's a perfect ending to the album, and it's a nice change of pace to like go out on. And Sean sings on that, and his voice is insane. Like his voice is so good, and it's just great. Like we've just the Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams. If I was gonna say describe it, is it's unapologetically ingested because we've never been a band that gave a shit what anybody else thinks. It's like I said before, we've always made music for ourselves. This is what we want to hear at this moment in time. And I love all of our fans around the world, and I thank them so much for always supporting us. We're never going to be a band that said, "Oh, we did this because this is what we thought our fans would like." We'd never do that because that isn't us. That's not why our fans like us. We do things on our terms. We make music for ourselves, and we don't give a shit what people think. So this is us in our most unapologetically ingested form. This is, for me, it's masterpiece of modern death metal, I think. And I know that might be me sucking my own dick, but I don't give a shit.
Well,
I don't
hey,
give a
listen,
shit.
if
It's
you're
fucking
that,
awesome.
I am not that athletic or confident, but if you have it, I respect you. And so, no, I agree with you. Actually, this is just an absolute banger. And I'm glad you brought it up. I just want to quickly segue over to a few last questions. And one of them was about the vocals. And I did notice some different things in it. Was there any new influences or just a desire to branch out and try some new stuff?
No, just no new influences really. There's this noise that I've started making that I started doing live a couple of years ago, and then people started calling it the rattlesnake noise because it kind of sounds like a rattlesnake. And then this is the first album that I've ever like done it and it's recorded on it, but I've only used it like rhythmically on some little bits because I didn't want to go overkill with something brand new. Do you know what I mean? But like, and then I've been doing these other weird. I wouldn't even know how to describe. I wouldn't even know what to call them. But it's like some weird guttural sort of thing. I don't know what it is. But it's that I use that quite a lot. But yeah, it's just like it's not really like any new influences or anything. It's just me. I'm not a person who's ever happy with my vocals. Like I always think there's something I can do better. I can always improve on this. I can always try something new. I always want to learn new stuff. I think the moment that I feel satisfied is the moment that I'll stagnate as a vocalist and I'll get bored and then I won't want to do it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I feel like for me personally, it's like with Ingested and me and my vocals, it's like I always have to feel like there's some kind of progress. I always have to be moving forward all the time. Like it's like I always say it's like Ingested's like a death metal shark. It always has to move forward. It can't stop and it can't go backwards because if it does, it'll drown. It always has to be moving in a direction all the time. And I think it's important because like I said, it's like you don't want to stagnate. You don't want to just do the same shit over and over again. Do you know what I mean? I want every album to sound like Ingested, so you know that it's Ingested when you hear it, but I don't want them to sound the same. Do you know what I mean? So I think like the way that we've wrote our albums and the evolution between each album is, yeah, it does sound like Ingested. You're always going to know it's Ingested, but there's always something new. There's always something different about each album. I think each album always has its own character, which is like it's quite a hard like line to balance. Do you know what I mean? Because you could just go, oh, we'll just do this again. Do you know what I mean? But we'd get bored doing that. And then the day that we get bored is the day that it stops. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we do it because we love doing it and we make the music we want to hear. And if we get bored with it, then what's the point? Like, you can't just. I don't want to phone it in. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to. I don't want to just go on tour. Just oh well, need some money. I never want it to be like that ever. I don't think any of us do. So
When it starts to become a chore, you're not
yeah,
going to want to do it anymore.
yeah,
And the
fuck
and
that
the
right
fa-
off.
and the fans will notice. They will notice. Fantastic stuff. Thanks for unpacking all that for us. I love to end these interviews with a wild card question. We'll see how this one goes that I have chosen for you. Obviously, listen, you know metal is your whole life, but if there was a guilty pleasure, one artist you like to listen to that would surprise your fans, who is that artist that is not
Hmm.
metal or rock?
Well, I don't have any guilty pleasures. It's my choice, isn't it? I don't give a fuck. One that people won't would be surprised. Bloody hell, would be surprised. The most surprising one probably be Take That.
I was gonna guess
Take
take
that.
that.
Take that. Yeah.
I
Well,
was
the
gonna get.
Manchester boys, aren't they?
Yes,
From the
yes.
same place as
Home.
me.
Yeah.
But the one that everybody will know that I love, probably the biggest inspiration on me, not musically, but just the way that just where they've come from and what they achieved is Oasis, because they're literally the Gallaghers were literally from about 10 minutes in that direction. Council estate, just over there. Same as me, council estate in Manchester, no fucking money, absolutely fuck all. And then they got out of that shit and became one of the biggest bands on the planet. So for me, that was always like watching that happen in the 90s. I was like, oh my God, it can be done. Like, you can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they came from Manchester, came from fuck all on a council estate, and became one of the biggest rock bands ever. So for me, they're my biggest inspiration.
Amazing.
So
Amazing call right there. I would say I don't care about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in America. I do hope Ozzy gets in as a solo artist in his lifetime. He deserves it. The Oasis and Ozzy were both nominated for this
yeah.
coming year, and I would like to see Oasis win just so the chance that the brothers both show up and fight it out on stage in front of a room of people really well dressed with nice plates of dinner, and then watch these two guys call each other cunts and fight would be
That would be
amazing.
amazing. I would love that.
Me too.
That would be the most Manchester thing that has ever happened. Turn up, right? One, you get invited. Two, you turn up. Three, you get drunk. Four, you have a fight and trash the place and then leave Manchester. That is like that. That encapsulates the city that we're from.
No, Liam's the one who never shows to things, so I really hope that he doesn't. I bet they get in, and I hope he doesn't punk out because Noel will show up. He wants the,
Yeah,
he loves being, he likes awards,
yeah.
and
He loves the adoration, doesn't
he
he?
likes
Like,
the awards. And I think he's fairly, they were very conceited at the top, but now I think 25, 30 years later, they're a little more humble. Yeah, it's 25 plus years later, they're a little more humble. Or
yeah.
Noel's a little more humble. I can't speak for Liam, and he's probably not. It's a lot of cocaine and other things. So yeah, man. Hey, Jason, man, wonderful to talk to you again, and congratulations on this phenomenal record. And I wish you the best of success. Be safe on the road. Do your thing. Hopefully, we'll look forward to you getting back over here to the States, but we'll cover you somewhere in the world in
Hell
2024.
yeah. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure being on with you again. Thank you for all your kind words. Check out the album, Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams, out April the 4th, I think, on Metal Blade Records. Pre-order it now. We got loads of nice merch, loads of vinyls, and we got a UK and Europe tour coming up in April and May. So until next time, peace and love, my friend.